you, KCIW listeners. This is Amanda Whittemore here on the Quality Living with Peaceful Support show here on KCIW 100.7. It is a pleasure having your ears tuning in as we talk about different ways to create and encourage peaceful support in our community and ways of quality living within our life. On this show, we have a special guest, as we do every show. We have a variety of artists, musicians, gardeners, doctors, all types of different people from our community that tell us their idea of quality living. And today we have the musician man, Mr. Fred Schacher. Hi.
Hi, Amanda.
How are you today?
I'm really good, Amanda.
Oh, right, Fred. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're super glad to have you here. And Fred not only is the music man, he is a luthier. Does anybody out there in Radioland have any idea what a luthier is? All right, I had no idea either. And Fred is going to tell us all about this.
Well, a luthier is a person, man or woman. I've known many luthiers that are women that make beautiful instruments. A luthier can be a person who makes, like me, violins and violas and repairs them, or they can make other musical instruments like a mandolin or a guitar, a stand-up bass. Any acoustic instrument is what a luthier would be doing. Most of them, nowadays, a lot of violins and acoustic instruments are made with the help of machines and computers. I use my hands, very, very sharp knives, and I carve the entire instrument from beginning to end.
Whew! That is some fine, detailed devotion and patience and precision beyond belief.
They're a very interesting instrument. I also play the violin. I have been making violins now for about 12 years. My father was a luthier, and my great-grandfather on my wife's side was also a luthier. So it kind of ran on both sides of the family. My grandfather, William Pendleton, made 12 violins, one for every one of his living children. My father made 6. I've made 10. At this point, I've got another one on my bench.
Oh.
Number 11 is coming out. It's can be kind of dangerous at times because of the sharpness of the knives. And I've used up many boxes of Band-Aids.
Oh, golly. Well, at least it's just gone to Band-Aids, right?
Yes.
Good. Unbelievable. Number 11. So your grandfather and your father, did you do things before just deciding to make these, or was it something that's always been with you?
Music has been with me all of my life. I began playing the piano, learning music and reading music. By the time I could reach the keyboard, I was 6. By the time I was 9, I was playing the trumpet and marching in a band in the Rose Parade in Portland, Oregon, playing the trumpet. I was the smallest person in the marching band. It was the Pal Club band, and I was they had to take me out after the second block because I couldn't walk as fast as everybody else, and I was winded. I couldn't play my trumpet anymore.
Oh, man.
But I've been playing music all of my life. All through high school, I was in a rock and roll band. I played drums for a very long time, about 20 years. I played my trumpet throughout high school. I learned to play guitar, drums, banjo, bluegrass. Music has been one of the most enjoyable and pleasurable things that I've done in my life. It's something that gives you solace. It gives you peace. You have to use your entire brain everything in your brain would light up if they did an MRI while you were playing and reading music. Hearing, sight, fine coordination, gross coordination, listening to the tones, reading the notes, putting them into action on your keyboard or whatever it is you're playing. It's pretty amazing. I play with the local community orchestra. I'm going to give them a plug because I love the symphony. It's Wild River Symphony.
Oh, really?
We rehearse every Monday night here at the high school. And we encourage violin players, string players. We've never gotten enough string players in the orchestra. We have plenty of brass, woodwinds, and percussion. But the string sections, they lack in the number of people who participate. It's a struggle.
Right.
The queen of the orchestra, the violin. Pretty amazing instrument. Really like it a lot. And I love playing with the orchestra. It's a great, great group of people, all different ages. High school, middle school, old people like me that just love music and come together to play. It's really a nice group of people. It's tough. The music is tough.
Especially at the orchestra level and the symphony.
Yes, playing as a group.
Right.
Playing as a group is more difficult because everybody's got to play together. You're not a soloist at this point.
Right, and the harmonization.
You have to learn the other person's part so you know when to play.
Oh, that's a ton of work.
That's a ton of work. Yes, it can be a struggle. But generally, our conductor and the board, they choose the music we play. And I'm going to say that most of the time it's usually on an intermediate to intermediate advanced level. So just about anybody who has played music for a while on their instrument would be able to join us.
Oh, wow, really?
Really.
Huh.
Yeah.
So, listeners out there, do you hear that?
If you're able to read music and are willing to put in the time to learn the pieces that we play for the community, which is another great thing. The community audiences are so supportive of the symphony.
Oh, I could only imagine.
We give 2 concerts a year, one coming up in December. We do a performance here in Brookings, and we do a performance in Crescent City. We do not have a venue in Gold Beach and probably won't have, but when the orchestra was smaller than it was, we did play for the Gold Beach residents as well. Our orchestra's expanded. I think we've got about 45 or 50 people in our orchestra.
That is quite ginormous.
It is. And it's quite loud when we get in the practice room at the high school. Just
even envisioning just those many instruments sitting in a room with space for them own, just for the instruments, let alone then you add the human and then the moving parts and then the sound coordination. You need quite a bit of room for that.
Yeah, I'm glad that the high school music room is large enough to accommodate all of us and all of the percussion instruments that go along with it.
Oh, wow. How many years have you been playing with this community orchestra?
I've been playing with the orchestra now about 6 years. Last year, I was unable to because of a medical situation. And I recovered and came back to orchestra this year.
Woo!
So, yeah.
Congratulations.
It was an ordeal.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're glad to have you.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Good. So would you say you have a preference over playing with the drums or with the violin, the string instruments, or how does that does it give you a different healing sensation, or does it different energies or emotions come through when you play one or the other?
Oh boy. Oh, boy. That's a loaded question. My drumming, I cannot do it much anymore because of my doggies.
Oh.
It's like gunfire to them, and they go absolutely nuts.
Right.
Because when I play on the drums, I'm in the basement, and I've got my earphones on, and I've got Little River Band cranked up, or one of the other country rock groups that I really like, and I wail away on my drums, and the dogs don't like it. So my period of time playing rock and roll was through high school and beyond, even to when I moved to Gold Beach. But the violin kind of stole my heart early on when my father was playing violin. He played in an orchestra in Portland, and he played drums. He played violin, and he was the kind of gentleman that was a little bit like an elf. He liked to know that you could learn more than one instrument. So I learned multiple instruments, and my father and I and my two older brothers had a dance band when I was 9 years old when we first moved to La Grande, Oregon. That's where I grew up.
Okay.
And at 9 years old on my trumpet, my brothers and I and my dad, the leader of the band, would go every Friday night and Saturday night to the local Elks Club and play dance music for the locals. The first night that happened, I woke up and my lips were so fat that I couldn't hardly talk.
How did you remedy that?
Ice.
Okay. Right.
And then I got back on the stage at 9 o'clock the next night.
Oh,
9 o'clock till 2 o'clock, 9 years old.
Oh.
Yeah, playing music, loving the heck out of it.
Perseverance.
Oh, blowing my brains out on the trumpet.
Right.
But he wanted me to also try the violin. And so I spent about 3 years playing the violin with my dad and learning guitar and also learning to play the drums. So it was, I majored in music in high school.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Right.
Choir, boys ensemble, mixed choir. I also was in the pep band, the stage band, and the regular marching band, and just the general band.
Yeah.
But that was probably my other classes didn't fare too well.
That's not too much room left for them.
Well, no, there really wasn't, but I managed, I managed to get through it all, and I'm better off for it. I play music every day, whether it be on one instrument or another. It's just part of being alive. And everybody out there in Radio Land should know that music is the best way to soothe your soul.
Oh, well said. Absolutely. It's a real thing. People have a tendency to think that maybe it's, the activities that they do when they're listening to the music that's doing the job of the soul soothing, which of course it's cohesive. However, if you sit there and do absolutely nothing, it still soothes the soul.
It absolutely does. Having been in the community and done a lot of violin repairs, restorations, and whatnot for the high school and for the middle school and for just individuals. It allows there to be more instruments that are playable, truly playable, because a lot of the instruments that you buy online are not playable. They have the shape of a violin, but they need to have some work. Because they're inexpensive, they're not made well, and they generally have some pretty bad flaws for a beginning student to actually be able to play it properly because it's all out of adjustment.
For tuning their ear or what they ought to be sounding as.
Exactly. The pressure that is necessary to push the strings down onto the fingerboard, which has no frets. It's a fretless board, and so you have to know where to put your fingers to get the correct tones.
Ooh.
It's not like a guitar that's got frets.
Right.
The frets give you a spot to put your finger. A violin, a viola, a cello, a double bass, they're all fretless. So you have to learn by finger memory, muscle memory, where to put, and your hearing, your oral memory.
Correct.
What the tone is and where your finger's supposed to be. And if the strings are too far away from the fingerboard, it makes the string sharp when you push it down, giving you the wrong tone in the position that you're supposed to be playing it in. So a lot of the inexpensive $100 violins are not worth, I don't think, the money that you put into them. Spend some more money and get a violin that's set up and decent for a beginner to play.
That's extremely important advice for those that are questioning, do I get this one? Do I not get that one?
Exactly. And I have had many people bring me violins for assessment and adjustment. And with a student, I'm really cheap. I'm really a cheap repairer for students. I generally do not charge for my time. I will charge for parts.
Correct.
But as far as students go, any student, I give them a real break. The one I just repaired for a family was built between 1884 and 1923. And beautiful, beautiful violin. Ernst Reinhold Schmidt, a German maker. You won't find his name in it because he sold it under a French name. So if you haven't, I do research on all the violins I repair if I've got a label and find out who did it, who made it, especially if there happens to be a signature or something of that nature, identifying the maker inside. I also have repaired a lot of violin and viola bows, putting new hair on them.
Wow.
The horsehair on the violin bows does wear out. And
about how many years? Or is it how much you play?
It depends on how much you play.
Yeah, I thought of it as I said it.
Yeah, it depends on how much you play, how often you play. But generally, the hair on a bow will last quite a long time. I'm not going to put a year on it because people play so differently, and they hold their bow differently. Right. They can tip the bow to one side and wear off one side rather than the other. Yeah. Or, and the strings do get old and break. Moths like the hair.
Oh, so storing it is important, how you store them?
Yes. I would suggest to any student that is learning to play their violin not to store it in their case, but get a wall hanger, put it on the wall, so it's open for them to see, and it's not difficult to take out of the case, and all they have to do is take it off the wall and begin to play. So many students put their guitar, their viola, their violin in their case, and where do they store it? Under their bed.
Oh, no.
Or in a closet.
Oh, no.
And then they have to go
laundry.
search it out. They have to search it out. Take the time to take it out of the case, put the shoulder rest on, rosin up their bow, tune it, and then play it. If it's on the wall,
it's grab and go.
Grab and go. So easy. It's so easy to have it out and look at it. And if you love playing it, it's better to see it.
That's the truth.
Better to see it. Another thing that I encourage all of the students and any violinist or viola player, anybody that uses a bow and rosin, is to clean the rosin dust from underneath the strings where you play.
Mm-hmm.
It will cake up. It's pitch from a tree, and it's sticky.
A certain kind of tree?
There are different kinds of rosins,
Oh,
different kinds of rosin.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sap.
It's sap. Exactly, hardened sap. And it will make a powder, and it will stick to your finish.
Mm-hmm.
And when you try to remove it, if you don't take it off while it's dry, it takes the finish off.
Oh, yeah.
And don't use alcohol on your finish. Don't ever put alcohol on your violin.
Oh no.
The varnish is made from alcohol, and it will take the finish right off. It's called spirit varnish. I use oil varnish.
Oil varnish.
Turpentine will take it off.
Okay.
But on most of the violins that I've seen lately, it's their spirit varnish, and the alcohol will take it right off, and you won't be a happy camper.
And it's flammable, right?
Oh, the alcohol is very flammable.
But the rosin, that's flammable?
The rosin is not flammable.
Not flammable, okay.
No. In fact, varnish has rosin in it.
Okay.
It's boiled linseed oil and tree rosin, tree sap. And other things like, there's some other essential oils that they use in them to make them spread easy and level out so that you don't leave brush marks.
Right, and it'll keep the whole quality together for its sound and is it mostly for the sound, right?
It's mostly for looks.
Oh. Okay.
If you do a bad varnish job, you're probably not going to sell your violin.
Right.
If they look good and sound bad, you're probably going to sell it.
Right.
But mine, I like to think that mine look good and sound good.
Yeah.
It's just
the whole package.
Yeah. I spend a lot of time with my violins. The back and the top are both tap tuned to certain frequencies, which I use my ear for and my finger to tap the wood with. Once it gets to the thickness of 2 millimeters, it will actually sing when you tap it, both the back and the front. And I take my time in making sure that the graduations of the top and the back are to within the specifications of the model I'm using. I like the Guarnerius model. A very famous violin. I like the sound. I like the projection that it gives. I like its volume. It's not easy to carve. None of them are easy to carve.
Right, yeah.
The violin is generally made, the top is usually made out of a spruce or a pine of some kind. The back, the sides, and the neck are generally a maple, usually a white maple, or I like Oregon bigleaf maple. It has a wonderful sound. And Port Orford cedar sometimes is used as a sound, as a tonal wood.
Okay.
But generally the maple and the pine make a sound so sublime. I'm sorry, I'm not a poet. The body of the violin is called the Casa Armonica.
Casa Armonica.
Armonica, yeah, the House of Harmony.
Claro que sí.
Yeah. Just a little tidbit of information for folks out there who might have a violin in their closet that they don't know what it sounds like or never taken it out to see what it might be.
Right.
And it might be a gem in the rough.
Very true. And you can bring it to life.
I can bring them back to life.
When you say that you would just tap it and it would sing, it gave me a visualization of a crystal where you just do the ding and it just starts singing.
Yes.
Is it that type of a sensation?
It's that type of a thing, yes.
Oh, yeah.
When you hold, the violin has certain places where you can hold them. There's 3 tones there's a bass tone, there's an intermediate tone, and there's a treble tone in the tap tones of a violin. And I can make them either dark or bright by what I tune the top and the back to. So I can make a really brilliant violin that's really bright, or I can make one that's dark and haunting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And once you make it, is that how it stays, or is it adjustable?
That's how it stays. Unless someone takes it apart and regraduates the top.
My gosh!
Yeah, and they are made so that they can be repaired. They're made to come apart.
Okay.
They're put together with a water-soluble glue called hide glue. Now, a lot of people out there aren't going to like this, but it's made from the skins of animal hides.
Well, we're in the hunters area.
Yeah,
I tan. I
horses' hooves.
Yeah, I skin
cow
animals.
hooves. It's the protein strands in the glue that allow movement of the different woods. The different woods in the violin swell and dry out at different rates, so they're always moving. You've got maple, you've got pine, you've got ebony, which is the fingerboard, tailpiece, and tuning pegs, and they all get swollen and shrink.
And I'm visualizing fibers for some reason.
The fibers of the glue will move.
Exactly, that's what I'm seeing.
They will move.
Yeah.
With the violin, but if you leave it in your trunk in a hot day when it's humid, they're going to come apart.
Yeah, so that's the support action, is that fibrous connection.
Yes. Moisture, and high humidity and heat, they will come apart. Almost guarantee it.
Huh.
So if you own a violin, don't leave it in your trunk on a hot day. Always take it out of your car. Take it with you. Get it out of the heat. Get it out of the high humidity. Keep it in its case. It'll be safe. It won't get too hot.
And if you put it on the wall, don't have it in a sunny spot on the wall. Have it somewhere that's away from the window.
Generally, with your house, if your house is controlled, with some kind of heating system, the humidity and temperature usually stay about the same.
Okay.
Our temperature and humidity here on the coast is really ideal for violins.
Oh.
It's really nice.
Is that how you got here to the area?
No. No, I moved here from Vermont 26 years ago. We couldn't stand the winters in Vermont anymore, and I was able to secure a job very quickly. My wife was hired before we got here.
Oh, good.
She was the anesthetist who did anesthesia at the hospital for 18 years up in Gold Beach.
Ooh.
And I did my last 15 years in hospice and home health.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That's maybe
another part of my community effort.
Absolutely. That may have been the calling, the energy, the frequency that brought us to meet each other that day at the park, was because I also do end-of-life care as an end-of-life doula.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Wow, that's really wonderful.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That might be like the cord that brought us to speak about these other ways of improving the purpose of living and the quality while we're here.
I think it was the turkey tail outfit.
The mermaid tail?
Yes.
Right. Good. Well, on that note, we'll have to talk about that on another day.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time today, Fred. Thank you, KCIW.
Thank you, KCIW, and thank you, Amanda. I've really enjoyed it.
Good. Sweet. Thank you. We'll do it again sometime.
I hope so.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.